So how important is gear as a filmmaker? I want to discuss the benefits and drawbacks of gear for filmmakers. What is useful and what is a waste of space and money? Is it actually helpful, or is being a good filmmaker about what you know? I have bought, sold and used a lot of gear in the past 5 years, particularly in 2025. And I kept asking myself one question: what if there was one video that could stop me from purchasing that next piece of gear? And I'm going to also discuss the gear that actually changed my creative journey. What made me realize that gear isn't as useful as the concepts, ideas, and knowledge that we have about filmmaking was when I was at work with one of my colleagues, and he owns an FX3, which at the time was my dream camera, the most sought after camera from many filmmakers, and I'm sure you would have guessed it was mine too. This was that top of the line camera that was so expensive and something that was just quite out of reach for me. But while having a conversation with him, I realized that this camera isn't what I dreamt it to be. It was kind of like the morning of Christmas, that all that build up and then it comes and it's just not quite as good as you'd hoped it to be. But that being said, it wasn't actually that the camera was bad. It's obviously not a bad camera, but the camera that I actually own already was so close to it. In my eyes, it's no longer a purchase that I feel like it's worthwhile. While talking to him, we were comparing the autofocus capabilities, the color science, the profiles and the codecs and all the similarities between it. And realistically, there was only a few differences. The dual SD card slots, being able to shoot with shutter angle instead of shutter speed, also the low light capabilities, that's the main thing. I'd also given some footage to him later on, and this was the real clicking point to me, that he came back and told me that the footage that had come from the camera, my camera, was so close, and he was shocked by the quality of the video from my camera at the size that it is. So I shoot on an A7C II. They have basically everything identical and create pretty much the same image in post, and when it comes down to it, you can even use the same LUTs for both cameras. That's how similar the end result is. So I thought, why would I spend an extra $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on this camera when I can have something that's so similar, and I have something that's so similar? It doesn't make sense for me to waste that money on another camera body that is going to get me basically an identical result. Another thing was hybrid workflows. To my knowledge, the FX3 doesn't shoot stills, or if it does, not very good ones. So as a hybrid shooter, photographer, videographer, it just doesn't make sense to me for me to have a camera like that, especially when I come to the point later on this video and when I talk about the size of your kit and how much gear you have. So the ability for me to shoot hybrid photos and videos on one camera and have it be the same or similar quality to the FX3, but also having the ability to shoot really high quality photos if I need to in any situation, is all that I could ask for in my camera body. Now I want to talk about shots that failed despite having the gear that I thought I would have needed to have. So let me set the scene. I'm at a shoot for a dance school, and there's these two girls who are going to do a one take short form, so vertical shot through the dance school, and they have a few beats that they need to hit along the way. So they come down the corridor, then they turn around the corner, they say hi to the manager at reception, then they walk through to the end of the corridor, do some dance moves in front of the sign, and then they go to the right. So with this video, I was like, oh, I just got this gimbal a couple of months ago. This is going to be perfect. This is the gear I wanted. And if I didn't have the gimbal, this is the gear I would have thought I needed in this situation. But I got the gimbal ready, I had to balance it and all of that. But when it came down to it, when they walked down the corridor, took a right and said hi, I kept missing the beat. The gimbal wouldn't move quick enough and then stay in the same place. And to be fair, this could be down to me not knowing how to use it too well, or my own personal error. But in that situation, that gear I thought I needed wasn't doing the job. So what did I do? I switched to going handheld. I ditched the gimbal. I was like, it's not gonna do it. I haven't got much time on this shoot. It was run and gun. I had to get it done in a certain amount of time. So I dropped the gimbal. I put it back in my bag. I came back and I said, okay, let's go again. And what I did is I followed it. They come walking past me. I spin, get a composition. They walk into the frame. They hit the beat, say hi to the manager at reception, walk through, and then I walk with them to a point, get the next composition. They do the dance move, and then they go through. So I hid the instability with a speed ramp in this video. And that ended up being vital because it's a short form video. The footage was about 2 minutes of a one take, but the video needed to be about 1 minute. So the speed ramps were crucial to keep the pace of the video. And I could have done it with the gimbal, sure. But I think for hitting those beats and the constant turning and everything, by using a handheld, using the camera handheld, I was able to get the shot. Now I want to talk about simplifying your setup. When I go to shoots, all I have to take with me is my light stand, my softbox, and then my backpack. I've got backpack on, both hands full. I can go one trip to the car, and that means I can go one trip to the car, one trip back from the car, one trip into the location where I'm shooting. It just makes it very easy, and I know my colleagues have extra gear a lot of the time, and they have to do multiple trips, and it's just long. And this stems from the fact that I was traveling for a couple of years, and I wanted my kit to be smaller. So I'm very used to having it into one backpack and packing it effectively and efficiently. So why is this important to most people? Yes, having tons and tons of lenses and stuff is good, but the ability to not have to unpack your bag and having a very versatile setup that you can take anywhere with you is really, really helpful. So I would suggest keeping your gear minimal. There are differences in people's work, but for me, this is what works, and it has been excellent. So I have one camera body, I have a zoom lens, 24-70, 16mm, and a 35mm. That goes in there. Then I can put my drone and batteries in there, and then I can also put in my mic and my filters, all in the main compartment of my bag. And then above I have my drone controller and my gimbal, and that's it. And I also have my tripod on the side of the bag. That is all you realistically need. Camera body, lenses, mic, gimbal, drone. You can get basically everything done with just that in a bag. This also minimized on decision fatigue. When I go to a shoot, I have minimal decisions to make. I don't have to think, oh, I left that at home. Oh, this could have been useful here. I have to work with what I've got, and I can make it work 95% of the time. Actually, I've never had a situation so far where I haven't made it work because of the lenses that I have, because everything's with me at all times. So if you're a videographer or photographer like me, who does a lot of run and gun stuff, it's very easy to have a very versatile bag, but keeping it very minimal at the same time. If it comes to being on film sets and things, it's a completely different story. You can't do this, but if you can do this with your work, think about trying to do that. It also allows you to really focus on the quality of the items you've got. I had loads more extra lenses, but the quality of those lenses weren't as good as the quality I've got now. So now my lenses are better, more versatile, and aren't hindering me in any way. With that said, there's definitely some purchases that I have made that have been really, really useful to me in the past couple months. And one of them being a shotgun mic. I think that was a very good purchase. I didn't have one before, and I've actually used it quite a lot since buying it. This light that I'm using right now, if I was shooting in this environment, I could not shoot in this environment and make it look good without a light. To have a big light with a nice softbox can create really, really good looking light in your scene, and you just need the one to start with. Just get the one. It's a very, very good purchase. This was about 200 Canadian in total, and I hope the look of this video speaks for itself, you can create an excellent quality image. And if you're interested, the light I'm using is I forget which one, but it's a 60-watt light, and I can leave a link down below. And then I've got a 65mm softbox on top of that, and then a really cheap light stand, basically like a tripod from Ulanzi. So that's really good. Also, another thing we don't think about when it comes to gear is the fact gear can interrupt your learning. Researching gear, learning about gear, looking at top 10s, buying gear, searching and scrolling for gear, just watching videos on it, like anything about gear can be very distracting and just takes you away from learning because you're always looking for that next best thing. Also, having lots of other gear, like storing it, unpacking it, maintaining it, repacking it, recharging it, lots of extra gear can also be really time consuming and stop you from doing work when you're at home. And yes, in this context, I'm talking about filmmaking and filmmaking gear, but this can be applicable to any other hobby or niche. And those could be like cars or fashion or tech or sports, even coffee. And yes, I mean coffee. People spend a lot of money on coffee if you weren't aware. And I'm not talking about the Starbucks goers, the coffee shop fanatics. I'm talking about the barista bros, the people who buy coffee machines at home and spend tons of money on tech for their coffee machine and knickknacks and little gadgets that they can use to get that perfect espresso shot. But trust me, I like gear and tech as much as the next person. Probably more, probably a lot more, but I'm starting to realize that gear isn't as important as I used to think it was, and to honestly focus on doing and learning and studying is way more crucial to improving the quality of my work. And that's why I'm doing these videos every week this year, and I'm hoping to really improve the quality of my work by the end of it. If you have the money to purchase the gear, then sure, go ahead and do so. But I would like you to think twice if you're in the situation like me, where it's better to save it. Now, I know that's way easier said than done. So here's a few questions you can ask yourself before buying gear. In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he mentions a tactic to help you stop from buying things all the time. And he says, if it's worth over $100, then you should wait 24 hours before you decide to purchase. And my suggestion is just to think it over. Maybe write a pros and cons list. You can do this on paper or in your head. And as a filmmaker, I honestly do think that efficiency and ease of use is super helpful for us, because this work can take a lot of time to set up for each shot and everything like that. So if it's going to be very beneficial in terms of saving you time and inevitably money, and you're getting paid to do something, then it might actually be a valid purchase. The pros and cons list can also be useful for comparing an older item with a newer item. I was going to upgrade my lenses recently. I had a 24 to 105 f4, and I also had a 16 to 35 f4 as well. So what I ended up deciding on was purchasing a 24 to 70 2.8 and a 16mm 1.8. And this basically covers all my bases, but then I get a better quality image from the prime on the wide end, and it's small and allowed me to vlog. So that was the pros, but obviously the con is it's a prime lens, it's not as versatile. And then the 24 to 70 was less focal length than my other lens, but the 2.8 for work and low light capabilities was super useful and something that I kind of needed for work and also my own videos. At some point, I think with filmmaking, having an f4 lens is good, but 2.8 and lower for me was like a necessity at that point. So I sold those lenses and I bought these two. And that's how you kind of should weigh it up in your head. If you think it's going to be valid, and obviously you can sell your lenses, so if you can sell them and put your money towards it and upgrade like I did, like I definitely put a lot more into these lenses, but the quality and the outcomes that I've got from upgrading have been really, really useful, and I'm very happy with my purchases. With that being said, I'm not telling you to purchase anything. Just think it over, think through it, validate it, maybe even read your validations to someone else and they can actually validate it in a non-biased way. this is not financial advice. You purchase what you want. I'm not going to be responsible for the things that you purchase. So do with that what you will. And finally, I know I've talked a lot about gear not being important, but to me, there is certain gear that is very useful. And as a beginner filmmaker, a solo filmmaker, anyone who's like me, just a fellow student and someone crafting and trying to get better at filmmaking, definitely if I could only have 5 things in my bag, these would be the things I'd have. So number 1, camera body. Yes, you can use your phone. Phone has excellent quality video nowadays, but there's nothing about the phone or any other thing that can compete with the tactile feel of a physical, like mirrorless or DSLR camera. Just the ability to change the settings quickly is just not like anything else you can experience. So I definitely recommend learning or getting a camera body, proper camera body, and I'm sure you won't regret it. So my recommendations for camera bodies quickly would be, I'm a Sony shooter, so I'm biased to Sony, but the a6000 series. And if you've got a bit more budget, like look at the ZVE-10 II or the A7C II as a hybrid shooter, or even if you're going more film like the FX30 or the ZVE-1. Lenses super important, but there is not really many people who can argue the fact that a 24-70 f2.8, if you can find a good quality one, then that's definitely the lens you should buy. The only lens you could ever need, and if you need more niche sort of focal length, like a 16-35 might be more beneficial to you. But for most people, a 24-70 will do the job in 95% of situations. Now, there is an argument for primes. When it comes to video especially, and even photo, I think that a prime can really teach you and help you to improve, because you're forced to move your actual body and find different angles, and it can honestly be a bit more hands-on in terms of finding things and really exploring compositions. So that's definitely something to think about, because a 24-70 is so easy to use and honestly sometimes too easy, so just bear that in mind. Okay, third thing, people swear by not using one of these or using it all the time. So every filmmaker owns one. If you need one of these, no matter what, if you like them or don't like them. A tripod. I use the Peak Design aluminum tripod and it's honestly so good. So that's good, but it's really expensive, and honestly I think I would buy another one if I had the chance, but this one's not broken, so I'm not gonna get rid of it. Yeah, there's plenty of good ones online. I think the new ones from Ulanzi are really good. And especially something with like a quick release plate is really, really helpful. Also, the weight of a tripod. If you're someone like me and you want to travel or you want lightweight gear, which I mentioned before, I would suggest a lightweight tripod. There's a lot of like carbon fiber ones out there, or just like aluminum like this one. Okay, number 4, a lav mic. Lav mics, I'm using one right now. They're really useful for picking up voiceover, and you can get multiple, and you basically just have a receiver, plug it into your camera, have your lav mic, and then you just put it on, plug and play. I use the DJI Mic Minis, but if you could, I'd get the DJI Mic 3s right now. They're the same size as these ones. My colleague just got them, they look incredible. And then you can add up to like 16 mics, which is very unnecessary in most situations. And you just need to record yourself or someone else a lot of the time. If you're going for YouTube though, then maybe you want something like a Shure microphone, which is something that you can have on your desk or something like that. And number 5, on my list, I actually have shotgun mic down here because I found it that useful, but in this situation, and now that I'm actually recording the video, I think that a light is honestly the 5th thing that I would have, and probably could be even higher in this list. But a light, this light, really useful, and it's honestly been the best purchase I've made in the past couple months. Most useful thing that I bought, and I use it on every shoot. Every time I record a video, I use it. You can't beat having a good quality light with like a good softbox. With this kit, you can basically shoot anything you want and it's all that's necessary really to tell the story that you're trying to tell. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I hope you liked the 5 recommendations on the gear that you could get. And this video is more about my mindset and the process of buying gear and how we all perceive it to be pretty useful or important, where it realistically isn't that important at the end of the day. You could probably save money and time by not looking at gear and researching it, and actually improve upon the work that you're doing and studying the craft of filmmaking. Take everything I've said as you wish. This is more of an insightful video, so if you like the video, I make content about tech and filmmaking and maybe a bit of lifestyle and vloggy type of stuff here and there. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be next Saturday. Peace.